guys, what's going on? It's the Double Chen Show.
Hey guys.
Hello, Double Chen Show AE.
Today we are talking about beauty standards because, you know, we talk a lot about
my.
love and relationships and dating and stuff like that because, you know, we've been there.
Yeah, we're young.
And you're sappy.
We're good looking.
Oh my. And on that note.
So you disagree with that?
I didn't disagree with that.
We always talk about, you know, dating and what people are attracted to.
Right.
In terms of physical looks and other stuff, but there is a big distinctive nature in terms of what people find attractive in the West and what people find attractive in the East.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's start in the West.
Okay. That's easy.
What the Westerners find attractive?
Uh-huh.
Let's break down real quick too,
Okay.
right? You got the West, as in like America, Canada. You also have Europe, Australia, Western world, right?
Yes.
Australia. You've got South America, that's the West, and you have
yeah.
Europe. To me, okay, what's considered ideal beauty, there is a type, but that type is very like not like black and white. In other words, like, okay, most people think like being thin is attractive in the West, right? Being thin, there is a type, like, but I think that most of it is actually varied, like from race to race.
Okay.
Because, for example, like in South America, okay, a woman is considered more beautiful if she's more voluptuous, or more curvaceous, and also if you have darker skin, darker like tan skin. Whereas in America's a hodgepodge, right?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I think that, okay, here is my completely generalized opinion. I feel like because we're talking about the West, which is such a huge term, right? And there's so many countries in the Western Hemisphere, I feel like there's actually a lot of variation between those countries.
Okay.
And in the East, there is also, but I feel like the Eastern Asians, I feel like, which includes China, Korea, Japan,
East Asia, yeah.
and even Vietnam or
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia.
There is kind of like more of a standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk about America because we live in America, right? I think that in America.
Talk about America?
America. I think that at least here, okay, forget you. Whoever's in Hollywood, that's Hollywood, right? But I think that across the board, everyone has a different type, right? Some like the Barbie dolls, right? Some like the cheerleaders, and they have a certain type. Some like models, but there's just as many people, for example, that don't like that.
Right.
Right? That like people with darker skin, you know, people who are more curvaceous.
So then let's jump over to Asia.
Okay.
Where now we're kind of narrowing the scope because it seems like a lot of Asians, and we're talking about mainly East and Southeast Asians here, there is a standard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And especially, let's go even deeper, China sums it up in 3 words, right? Bai, Fu, Mei for girls,
Yeah.
Gou, Fu, Shuai for guys.
Yes.
So Bai, Fu, Mei is pale, rich, beautiful.
Right.
Gou, Fu, Shuai is tall, rich, and handsome.
Right.
Well, it's so vague.
Right. So now let's dive into it. So for women, right? Bai, Fu, Mei. So take out the Fu, take out the Bai. So Mei. What's considered Mei in that case?
Well,
it's also very narrow.
You can't take out the Bai.
Well, I'm not saying
pale is the big part of it.
Right. Okay. The pale is a big part of it. Very big part of it, right?
Yeah.
The whiter the skin you have, the more beautiful you are.
I don't think that's just China. I think that's East Asia, at least across the board. Okay. I think slender, very slender.
Very
slender.
Stick slender.
Yeah, very slender face. What do you think?
V-shaped face.
I was gonna say there's actually a chart that I saw on some social media website, I think 9gag, where it lists out, and this is only talking about East Asia, which includes basically China, Korea, Japan, I'm sure the other countries, but the post only talks about these 3 countries and the ideal beauty there. And for the China one, they said very tall, obviously tall, skinny,
For
like
girls.
Mike said,
skinny.
and a V-shaped face,
Right.
big eyes,
Right.
small nose but very tall nose,
Right.
and bigger
Big
boobage,
bust. Okay.
you know, and but skinny everywhere else.
Skinny everywhere else.
But well endowed up here.
But basically listed out item per item.
Right.
Item per item.
This is what you should look like.
And two things about that too. Don't forget what Chinese people consider skinny is way skinnier than what Americans consider skinny.
Yes, right.
No,
Very, very skinny.
Like you just take you as an example. Like here in America, people would say you're skinny. In China, and you've told me this, people would say that you're actually fat.
Well, that's true. In China,
Which is
I'm
ridiculous.
considered a little bit overweight.
Right.
Which, to be honest, if you look at the models these days on Chinese television or the actresses,
Yeah, they're like stick
compared to them, I am a little bit overweight, I guess.
But as I was growing up, and this is still true now, when you're the runway model skinny, the American public does not like that.
But
That's a very niche. That's a very small population of men who are like, I like stick thin models.
So we talked about the Asian ladies.
Right.
Now let's talk about the Asian guys.
Okay.
There's also a very specific type of guys
That's true.
considered
That's
good
definitely
looking.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we go to China right now,
Right.
we're not considered good looking guys.
No, because we're short.
We're short. We are already
like-
missing one of the ingredients.
Right.
And if we're poor,
Yeah.
we're basically done.
We're basically done because it doesn't matter how shy, how beautiful you are,
Yeah.
how good looking you are. Like people, like if me and you went to China, like people wouldn't even, they literally wouldn't even see us because
No.
the girls are like looking here and above.
And here's the thing. In the 高富帅, the 高 and the 富 part dominate the 帅.
I think in the East, like for guys, it's also like you say, it's very narrow. Like basically, like we have friends who are Asian women, and they're really only attracted to, let's say, the guys that look like the K-pop bands. Which I'm like, come on, like in the West, if you asked like a girl here, they'd be like, really? Those guys look like girls. You know, they like. If you're in America, they like a guy who's not like super big, but
Right.
athletic.
But I want to also stress the tall part.
Yeah.
I think in the West, like, okay, obviously the girls want to date someone who's probably a little taller.
That's true.
But girls would not, would typically always also be like, okay, a little shorter, I'll give them a chance. Still,
Yeah,
I'll give them a
yes,
chance
yes.
because it's really about, how
The personality,
the personality,
the inside.
how we interact. But I feel like in Asia, this is very, very strict.
I would
Like,
have to agree with that. What would you say?
if he wasn't this tall, I can't. Sorry,
it's just a no-go. It's almost like you have an application, and if that's an X,
yeah.
they don't care. They won't even give you a chance for you to shine.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know that's true. Normally I'm not a fan of generalizing, as in everyone in the East does this or everyone in the
I'm
West
a fan
does
of
this.
that.
But we all know you are. But but I have seen way more couples in the United States with a taller girl and a shorter guy. I'm not saying that it happens a lot, but it does happen. I mean,
Right.
here's an example right here. But actually quite a bit taller. but actually, but in Asia, I almost never see it.
Right.
The only
Ever.
the most I've seen is the same height, and
Yeah.
that's even really, really rare.
That's even
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah.
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 But also like I hear a lot of what your parents say as well, and I think that they represent a lot of what's not sort of good trends in Asia, like in terms of beauty. Like for example, them and a lot of other people will be like, why are you dating someone who's shorter than you? They give you a lot of grief for that.
And also, can I point out that the word "fu" appears in both sexes. So
Absolutely.
that is also a very important factor. Because
Right.
a lot of times when people are dating, and especially I'm talking about China here, the annual incomes come up. Like this
Oh,
is
yeah.
a first date, second date question.
That's
right?
true.
That's
yes.
It's not like here you're like,
crazy.
all right, you can't. Can you imagine you go on a date with someone in the U.S. and you're the first day you're like, hey, so where'd you go to school? Blah. Okay, so how much money you make a year?
Right.
Yeah, my mother was shocked when she asked
crazy.
me. She's like, "How much does your boyfriend make?" And we had just started dating, and I was like, "Mom, you can't just ask somebody that. That's very
Yeah.
rude." My
And,
mom's like, "Well, that's a fair question."
But also in America, that's very accepted. Like in terms of like not asking, but also it doesn't really
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
It's nice if they
Yeah.
make a lot,
Right.
but honestly, if you're dating, I mean, pretty much like all throughout college and into your mid 20s, late 20s, like you really don't care what the guy makes.
Right.
Unless
Or
you
the
come
girl.
from like an elite. blue
Right.
blood.
Yeah,
And
unless
the majority of the people are still like,
Right.
who cares? Let's work together, let's build a life
Right.
because we love each other.
I feel like also a huge factor in Asia, and it's not as much in America. So I think that the media in Asia and America both does a lot to shape people's standards of beauty, right? Whatever you see on television, in the movies, on posters, has a lot to do with what you think is beautiful. But I think in America, when you're growing up, you're taught certain things. For example, you are taught like from your parents, beauty comes from within.
Yeah.
Accept your body, accept who you are. accept you for you.
Yeah.
Like don't. I mean, obviously, if you're obese, sorry, that's just bad for your health. But if you're born big boned or short, that's who you are. Embrace it. Develop confidence around that. Whereas I think in Asia, a lot of it is like what you guys are saying. The parents have a lot to do with shaping it, and that's for the negative.
The pop culture is setting the trend now, where like pop cultures in the West could be a lot of different people. You know, you have Adele, who's a little.
That's pop.
Yeah, who
Well, not a little. She's a lot.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
The body image is different than someone like
Completely
Taylor
different.
Swift, but these are all idols.
Right.
But in the East,
You only have one kind.
One kind.
One kind.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like,
Yep.
Mike, you make a good point. Because now that I think about it, like Beyonce, like she's curvy,
Yeah.
and but Adele's another kind,
Right.
and then
Taylor Swift, obviously,
and, but
she's
also like Nicki Minaj, you know, and like a bunch
But
of
you'll
other people.
never. But think about that, right? Like K-pop. K-pop takes a lot of influence from the West, but not body-wise.
No.
Because all the K-pop stars look exactly
You
the same.
can't be obese and
Right.
be a star in
Right.
Asia, basically, like one of these K-pop stars. I mean, you could be, I guess, an actor in some fitting role,
Right.
but like, you couldn't. There's no. Think about this. It's so scary. Look across the West,
Right.
all the different performers, all different kinds.
I mean,
of
you even
people.
have rock bands,
Yeah.
right? You even have a country
But in
band.
the East,
Yeah.
they all kind of look the same.
They all kind of look the same. In the past, the girl, not everyone makes a lot of money. So if they can marry the girl off to a wealthy guy, that's good. But now the girl's family starts to make money. So now the girl's living pretty nice, right? How many of these like girls we see on social media now, they have money. They don't need money. So now the standard is even higher, right? The guy you got to make, they can't be a millionaire now. They're going to be a billionaire.
Well,
now,
there's
you know what I
several
mean?
factors that play here. For example, now there's the issue of whether the guy can live up to that family's standards. Because
Yeah.
for example, if the girl's family has money, they certainly want her to marry somebody who has equal or higher income.
Probably higher.
Or they, even if the family's well off, they still might think that's not enough security for the girl to live that kind of high standard living up until her old age. So it's better for her to marry somebody who can provide for her as well.
Right.
There's several, you know, because I feel like Asian parents, despite being very twisted in their messages, have the best intentions of security. They just want
Right.
security for their children.
Or they think
What they think
what
is
they
right.
think.
And of course, that's
Right.
very oppressive to the child, especially
Right.
if he or she doesn't want to marry somebody like that.
And also, like, okay, we're talking about East Asia, but even like I would say, I don't know that much about Southeast Asia or India, but if you look at like Bollywood movies, I mean, they also and also like who's famous in what's considered beautiful in Thailand, they also pick the lightest skinned Asian of that ethnicity. Like you never see like a darker skinned
is true.
Thai person, and there's a lot of dark skinned Cambodians, Thais, Burmese. Like I mean, talking about Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
always the
but-
white, like the whitest Thai woman, and also definitely India, like Aishwarya Rai. Like you never see like, I mean, come on, like in parts of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. I mean, they're
It's not just
really
about
dark.
There's not just about the skin color though, because I have a lot of Indian friends. I grew up with a lot of Indian friends. I still have a lot of Indian
Yeah.
friends today, and all of them tell me about this thing about wanting to look kind of like Western. Like, you know, it's not just about the skin, but like, you know, having like this really Western features, which actually a lot of Indians do, and that's considered to be beautiful there. Sometimes I feel like there are things that you cannot change. Like if I was born with like a squarish face, I can't. God made me this way, or like I was
you
born
can
this
shape
way.
it.
But
You can change it via
Yeah,
plastic
that's what I'm
surgery,
saying.
That's not
which is
messed up,
what your
yeah.
parents would tell you to do, which makes Asian society messed up.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Is it?
I don't think it's fair when it gets to the point where people have to shave their faces in order to look
Yeah.
attractive.
No.
I always think that the standard of measure should be healthy. If the
Yeah.
person is healthy, leave them alone, and that's beautiful because health traditionally is what's beautiful. But
Right.
these days, it's not about health anymore. It's about these different things, and I
Yeah,
think that
right.
veers into a very dangerous area.
If you're somebody that feels like you should look and act a certain way, you know, we're here to tell you like don't, you know, because the three of us look very different and we're our own people, and you know, you can't tell us otherwise, and that's how hopefully we'll raise our children as well. And I think that you know, like if we can start to sort of give that positive message, that's really good.
And one thing I want to mention before we leave this video is that growing up, I struggled a lot with my looks, especially I grew up in Asia for like quite a while, and I always struggled with my looks because I looked a bit different from what was considered like traditionally beautiful in Asia.
Yeah.
And that certainly did a number to my self-esteem because, you know, people are mean with their kids and they'll tease you. They'll be like, why do you look this way? Why don't you look like that? My own parents told me, you know, and I was actually offered several chances to go to Korea and get my face done, which, you know, some people might think that that's the right way to go, but I personally was like, no, I don't want to do that. Even if to some people that I don't look like the way that society wants me to look, I still want to look the way I am, because I think that that's just the way that I was born, and I need to embrace it. You know, I'm a healthy person. I'm a healthy person, and that's all I should think about. And that you guys too. I mean, embrace yourselves, you know?
That's right, guys. All right, let us know your thoughts about this video in the comments below. And if you like it, give it a like. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye!
See ya.